Greetings, children of the screen. Your friendly neighborhood nerd scum here, and today I am with...
Old Man Logan.
Right on, guys, and you know what today is? Today is the day that the final issue of Dark Knight's Metal hit the shelf, so we are going to be talking about it. I know that's what all of you were talking about. That's what we're going to talk about. Don't you want to hear us talk about that? I think they want to hear us talk about it.
Maybe they want to hear us talk about it.
Well, that's what's going to happen. All right. So, since you kind of came into the book a little bit later and everything, we're playing a little bit of catch-up and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Were you satisfied with the way the book ended?
Yes, definitely. I mean, firstly, going in, there was a lot going on, and I was like, I don't know, I don't understand a lot of this, and the last issue kind of helps. The last two issues really kind of gave you a little more clarity and kind of helped mold what you understood about the whole tie-in of the miniseries.
Right, and with the last issues, you mean like the Hawkman Found?
Yeah, Hawkman Found, and then the previous one before that, which mostly was action, but yeah.
Yeah, the Hawkman Found, the one that like is pseudo kind of sort of co-written by Grant Morrison, which that makes frickin' sense.
Yeah.
Because throughout this whole series, not just this issue, but the whole series, there've been a lot of not recycled, but like callbacks to previous Grant Morrison events or kind of Grant Morrison style storytelling.
Yeah.
And Scott Snyder, Scott Snyder.
Bueno.
Sorry, Scott.
Not a movie yet.
Sorry, Scott. That's not cool, man. But anyway, like Scott Snyder, he's one of the guys who came up under Grant Morrison, and Morrison wrote Batman before him, so clearly he's a fan, and if you're someone who loves continuity and the strange, weird stuff, it's
seeing
hard.
How far you can stress the limits of the continuity.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, it feels like this is probably something actually for us to get into, but I guess I was very happy with this issue as well, but this seems like it's taking us into the writing of the book. So let's just go ahead and talk about the writing. I feel that Scott Snyder has two great influences seemingly in terms of the way that he builds stories. And one being obviously the Grant Morrison thing where and Rebirth has really helped with that, setting the stage for this because everything now can have happened. But it also seems like he's really good at doing the Jeff Johns thing of finding two stories where they almost touch and connecting them, and then going through and finding all the things that were wrong with those stories originally and adding
just
to them,
cleaning it up a little bit.
Yeah,
not in the edges.
Yeah, not even saying that it never happened, actually explaining why it happened in the context of a new story.
Yes.
Which is something
how retcons should work.
Yeah, it's like retconning at its finest. Yeah. And let's face it, even though the only reason this book was not called Crisis, Dark Knight's Metal, was because Grant Morrison made sure his was the final crisis, This was a crisis level event. Not only did we see characters from other universes, we saw the opening of the Dark Multiverse.
Yes.
So yeah, I personally felt that all the characters' moments were balanced really well throughout this particular issue. And they really gave all the characters that needed a moment for the most part.
Yes. Yeah. From Wonder Woman standing ground to, Batman riding the giant Joker dragon. But...
Yeah. Batman rides a giant Joker dragon. That's a thing that happens in this issue, and it's dope. Yeah, there's obviously a few smaller characters that don't get a moment as big as you might like. Yes. I think, Cyborg in particular.
Crashes a jet?
Yeah, it kind of falls by the wayside,
Yeah.
Which, because he had his own evil counterpart who had his own book, I guess I kind of thought that maybe he would have something a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But as the Cyborg comic in Rebirth has shown, writers don't have that many ideas for Cyborg that are amazing, so I guess it's like the Justice League movie. He got to be there.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
And he grew up.
Yeah. So those are nice things for Cyborg. But other than that, all the characters that, for the most part you would really care about get a moment either in this issue or in, the previous issue where they can really shine. And beyond that, I felt that he really tied the story up in a nice, concise way, and anything that's not tied up is not tied up for a reason.
Correct, yeah, and they make it very clear that there is plans for a future after this issue that,
Yeah.
without revealing too much, but...
No, yeah. I mean, like, it's kind of public knowledge, not super public, but like it's out there. We can talk about, like, basically this is the setup for the Justice League No Justice.
Yeah, Justice League No Justice, the new heroes that have came out.
Yeah, I think they're calling it the New Age of Heroes.
New Age of Heroes.
With characters like Sideways and
Immortal Men.
The Immortal Men and the Challengers of the Unknown are coming back, and the Terrifics, Brimstone.
Yeah.
The other one that's like the Incredible Hulk, but for DC.
Rampage.
Not there's
Damage.
another Damage. Yeah, Damage.
Yeah.
That's it. So yeah, like all those characters are also kind of spinning out of this. So there are some things that are left open, but you get the feeling they're left open for those new titles that are kind of coming and branching out of this.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you wanted to mention about, like, the writing or the story specifically going into it?
As someone that came in late in the game and had to play catch up, I definitely recommend it. It's worth it. When you told me all the different stuff that was happening with, the Red Flash and all that, or
Red Death.
Death, like, that was crazy stuff I needed to read. So,
well, yeah, and like,
definitely give it a recommendation.
Right. Well, and before this too, you weren't really like as caught up on just like in terms of the multiverse.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I haven't stepped into comics very much up until Rebirth.
Yeah.
So this is a whole new thing, and I'm glad to be a part of it. It's freaking crazy.
And I think
so much it's a good hopping on point.
Like, yeah. Which I think really says a lot for the story. Like, if you, someone who's not immersed like I am in the continuity, obviously you had like me to, like, if you had questions, I could answer them.
Right.
But Google can also do that these days, for anyone who doesn't have a nerd scum around, But, like, I feel that really speaks a lot towards the strength of the story that, like, Snyder can use all these elements from Morrison and from Alan Moore and from, like, just the long stretching history of DC and interweave them with his new ideas into this story, and someone who's not really that versed can come in and, for the most part, know what's going on and really get into the story and enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think,
or at least give you the opportunity to go back and read more of what has been going on in this giant project. So,
right. Yeah. I think that speaks very highly to the quality of the storytelling. And so we talked about the writing, but just as important as the storytelling is the artwork.
Oh,
and
my God.
Greg Capullo, I don't know if the delays on this book were for the writing or for the art. I kind of feel like it's for the art because...
So much. And
holy crap, it was so awesome.
Yeah. Colors everywhere. For a book that's all about darkness and dark multiverse, there was vibrant lights and everything.
Yeah, colors going crazy. Like, you get so many different moods, but all of the transitions throughout, for both the line work and the coloring in the book, which I should probably look and see who the colorist of the book is. I feel like an asshole now because I didn't do that ahead of time. But hey, colorist, who I'm an asshole and didn't look for your name, you're awesome. Like, you rocked on this book, man. The color really helps the transitions from the different characters in the different parts of the dark multiverse or the multiverse, what's left of it.
Clearly emulates the, like, prideful stand moments and like the hero rising moments.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, like, it's because of the way Capullo draws, like, color and shadow are very important. Not in the same way with, like, John Romita Jr., although we did see that from earlier in, like, The Forge and stuff, where if you get an inker and a colorist who don't really know what to do with his work, it's not going to look great. Capullo's work is good enough that it always looks good, but there's a certain element of drama that the shadows and color bring to it, and, like, this book really managed to find a very good balance with all of that.
Definitely.
You see everything you need to see. You don't see what you don't need to see. And the mood is just absolutely perfect. The artwork's beautiful, man. Like, we have some, up at the local comic shop, there's, like, some good posters for it, but I can't wait till they just start rolling out, like, more just straight-up posters based on this artwork.
Yes.
So,
or when the trade comes out and you get all the different covers and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they did like they did because they had so many cover artists. Like, they did a book
Dark
for
Knight Returns.
The Dark Knight 3, The Master Race. They did that book of just the cover arts.
Yes.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they had one of these for this. In fact, I'll have to check into that because, God, that'd be dope. Like, Dark Knight 3 is like, whatever, but that book of covers is freaking brilliant, man. So anyway, I guess like all that's really left is like, and guys, there are going to be some spoilers in this next little bit, but we're not going to spoil the end of the story.
Yeah.
So, what were some of your favorite bits in this book, in this issue?
Okay, that's hard because like we said, the art, just everything in it, just mostly like the cool points, you know, Batman riding the Joker dragon is ridiculous. The Batman Joker cooperation there, that was pretty ridiculous. Not to go too far unless we want to dive into that. That was awesome.
Let's not dive in too far, but just to clarify, there is this moment where Joker and Batman are for a moment seemingly on the same side. And there's this great moment where Batman just goes, Joker, we never speak of this. And that was kind of pimp because
and just like at the back of your head, you thought maybe it would happen, and it did.
Yeah.
So it was a huge payoff. Like, that was the biggest thing. I mean, most of the moments in the book you looked at and you were like, I hope they do this, and then they did it, and you were happy with it, because that's just what you wanted to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you saw it.
And like I was saying, like, yeah, that Joker thing is like, I think everyone saw it coming, but that's because they kind of set it up in the Forge or the casting, one of those.
Right.
And like I was saying, it's like the screenwriting thing about a gun. Like, you don't introduce a gun in the first act if you're not going to use it in the third act.
Right.
And Joker is that gun, which is interesting because his introduction
is
with a gun. You'll see what we're talking about if you haven't checked it out. By the way, if you haven't checked it out, why are you listening to this? Go buy this issue and frickin' read it.
Totally worth $3.
Yeah.
Whatever have you.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, some of my favorite bits in this this particular issue were obviously Plastic Man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All of the above.
All of the above. Yeah. With Plastic Man, I was really bummed, man, because like when the Terrifics came out, Plastic Man was still in the egg, and I was like, so we're not going to get to see Plastic Man out of the egg at all in Dark Knight's Metal. That sucks, man.
And luckily they mention it, but we're still not quite sure if he's going to show up in it or not.
And man, Plastic Man is out in a big bad way, and it was dope.
So worth it.
There's this great moment of Hot Girl just looking, going, is that Plastic Man? With a look of horror on her face. It's pretty awesome.
Yep.
And among that, like also, okay, so not the climax of the story, which we're not going to discuss, but I think my other favorite thing was just like the epilogue.
Yes.
Where all the heroes meet.
Yeah. It's also kind of where they do set up the Justice No Justice, Justice League No Justice, and the New Age of Heroes at the dining room. Yeah.
Now here is one big spoiler. Again, it's not about the actual like climax of the story, but one of my honestly my absolute favorite thing in this whole issue is the reveal that due to what they did to save the world, the Source Wall was destroyed.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, the Source Wall is a whole nother video. I've had to explain it to a lot of people. And
without really explaining it to a lot of people.
Yeah. So if you want to know about it, mention it in the comments and maybe I'll do a video on it. But the Source Wall is destroyed, and basically we get the indication that the Source Wall has been this barrier that has been keeping our universe isolated and our multiverse protected from all these other things. And this is where all these Justice League No Justice and all of the New Age of Heroes stuff starts coming in. In particular, I'm speculating that like the big weird temporal creature who like...
Oh, that they're sitting inside of on the...
Well, no, like in Sideways, like the big dude who comes after him. I'm pretty sure he's from beyond the Source Wall. Because he even says something like, this world was blocked to me, or something like that.
Right.
So, to me, that was a really great moment. It would have been nice if we'd seen the Source Wall a little bit more, so that, like, for people who aren't as in the know, that has grander significance. Mm-hmm. But for me, as, like, a long-term DC continuity fan, that really rocked. I freaking loved that moment. And also just the idea of, like...
opening up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It leaves us open to a world of possibilities where things that we thought to be true may not necessarily be true, and
vice versa.
Yeah, and there is just so much more beyond what we already know of the DC universe.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, especially with Doomsday Clock going on, like, what if, like, the reason they can't find Dr. Manhattan is because, like, he operates beyond the source wall? What if he's the one who built the source wall?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's a valid point. I was going to say, since it's something that clearly doesn't hold, because we were saying that it comes to and from, you know, at an earlier date, that, like, they, I don't know how to explain it, that, yeah, like, it had to have been created.
Yes, at some point.
Therefore, yeah.
But it's always been as far as the DC universe knows.
Right.
But yeah, so, alright, so since we're at that point, I think it's about time we start wrapping up.
Yep.
Do you have any final thoughts?
No, go buy it.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Dark Knight's Metal #6 is fantastic. It is just as good as any of the... I would say it's probably one of the best conclusions to, like, a big event that I've seen from a comic company in a while.
Yeah, you aren't let down at all.
No,
or
not
left wondering.
Yeah.
Except for with the fact of what to come.
Yeah, the only thing... all the questions that you have at the end are questions that you're meant to ask.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely recommend going and checking it out. Ask your local comic book shop owner when the trades are coming out if you missed it, because, man, this book rocks. So, as always, guys, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I hope you all have a good one.
Old Man Logan?
And Nerd Scum, out.